All right, everybody, welcome back. We're doing more edge work here. We're working on the edge rushers of this draft. And now we're moving on to the guys who are more likely going to go somewhere around the second round, the early parts of day two. Although, in the case of a couple of these guys, I think there is a little bit of flexibility there. Like this guy has been doing some very impressive things with his draft stock lately to where I could see him ending up in the late first. So don't rule it out. But before I get into Darius Robinson here, because what I'm about to say pertains to him, some of these edge guys would only be edge players in a 4-3 as a 5 tech. And there's a clear and obvious distinction here, right? Like, you look at Darius Robinson, he has nothing in common with a guy like Dallas Turner, really. He could very unlikely would he be able to find success as an edge in a 3-4. So understand that some of these guys, if the Seahawks got them, they would be doing things differently. They would play a different role. They would not be an edge player. So when you think about last year, like when we had Draymond Jones playing edge, and it didn't work that well for us. It was a little bit rough. It had moments, but it overall was a little bit rough. There are some guys who would be kind of like that, and those guys you might want to play on the inside, like Darius Robinson, Missouri Tiger, 22, 6'5", 285 pounds, 34.5-inch arms. So, I mean, he's big and he's got length, 10 and 5/8 inch hands. The testing, I mean, you take one look at it and you're like, this is no good. 4.95 40, that is, I think, identical to Mike Morris's 40 last year. 1.73 10-yard split, miserable. His vert was good, but his broad was low. His bench press was low. So Darius Robinson, clearly not going to be an edge in a 3-4. If you got him, he'd be a 4-eye. He'd be the defensive end. So we need to recast our vision at Darius Robinson as a 4-eye defensive end in this defense. And if you look at him that way, he's pretty good. 4 of the 6 big boards I use have him in the first. The late first, but the first. PFF and Walter are the ones that have him in the second. However, the aggregate has him at 34, so just barely a second round pick according to the aggregate, but it is right on that line, ain't it? Last 2 years put up pretty good numbers, about 80 tackles total. Last year had 14 tackles for loss, 20 total over the last couple years, 8.5 sacks to make 12 over the last 2 years, and PFF grades have been good. So Darius Robinson's definitely a player who's headed in the right direction, and he's gotten some positive attention after the season ended. Feels like his stock has been creeping up for a little while here. So with Darius Robinson, the thing that stands out with him is he's an excellent run defender. He's strong, powerful at the point of attack, really good at playing the run in the NFL, or should be, excuse me, I should say, should be really good against the run at the NFL level. He plays with physicality, plays with toughness. He's somebody who's not afraid to stick his body in there and try to push people around to make a play. On running plays, he frequently draws double teams because he's considered to be that much of a problem. He's got very strong hands and he uses them well for the most part, sifts through blockers really well, pushes through the thicket and finds the ball. He's a really good stack and shedder. He's really good at getting blockers off of him. He can engage and then disengage and go get the ball. So, excuse me, got a little bit of a cough right now. So that is something that's going to be really desirable for a guy who plays inside in a 3-4 defense. He can chase plays down to the other side of the field. He's just generally a powerful player. So Darius Robinson is making his way up the big boards on the strength of doing things that a lot of players in this draft just aren't that good at. Like, a lot of these guys are not very good stacking shedders, it feels like, but if you put this guy on the inside full time, which I imagine the NFL 285 is just not going to cut it as an edge, you're getting a primo run stuffer. So I wouldn't play him on the edge in a 3-4. Maybe if you're a 4-3, you could play him at 5 tech. In fact, I think that's what's going to end up happening most likely. He ends up as a Michael Bennett type, 5 tech, slides inside on passing downs maybe. As of right now, he has a limited set of pass rush moves. He does have a bull rush that he can whip out, but he doesn't really have a lot of moves. He doesn't really have a lot of things he can throw at offensive linemen to get past them. And obviously, he doesn't have like tremendous speed or athleticism to just bully them, right? So he's got limited value on passing downs. Short area agility just really isn't there. He doesn't really have any of that kind of quickness or twitch. He's just kind of a big, strong guy. I think that the question with Darius Robinson is, what are you going to get out of him on passing downs, which is why it's hard for me to consider taking him in the first. If I'm going to take you in the first round as a defender, I would hope that you're offering value on passing downs, and I don't know if Darius Robinson really is. So he's meant to be a 5-tech and a 4-3 or a DE and a 3-4. I like what I see, right? Like, he's clearly going to be good against the run. He's going to be a pretty destructive force, shedding and stacking up blockers and making plays on the ball there. And if you did run a 3-4, I think he'd, 4-3, excuse me, I think he'd be great as a 5-tech. But I don't know if I can go first round knowing his pass rush stuff. So I'm going to put an early second round grade on him. I can't quite go first. But he's good. He's definitely really good. If you use him right, I think you're going to get really good things out of him. And he's going to fit the 4-eye role very well. All right, next guy is going to be Chris Braswell. This is more of a traditional edge. This is somebody who you could play hypothetically as an edge in a 3-4. Chris Braswell of Alabama, 22, 6'3", 251 pounds. So right away we're like, okay, we know what's going on here. 33 1/4 arms, not great, but okay. 9 3/8 hands. Testing was mostly really good, right? Like the speed and the acceleration and the burst. Not a lot of explosiveness necessarily. His jumps were just mediocre, but he overall had good testing. I think every big board has him in the second round. Every big board has him in the second. The aggregate has him 50th overall. So that seems to be a reasonable expectation for him to go somewhere around that mid-second. Only 1 year of production last year. 42 tackles, 10.5 for loss, 8 sacks a pick, 3 forced fumbles, 81 PFF grade, pretty good. Playing alongside Dallas Turner, so he doesn't have the spotlight, but his job's also a little bit easier, right? So you look at the previous year, by the way, where he was behind Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, I believe. Not much, but there isn't a lot to pick up when you're behind those guys. Let's just be real here. So Chris Braswell, I think the thing that stands out about him is that unlike even the best guys in this draft, he's got a mix of power and speed that is really appealing. He can bull rush, but he can also beat you to the edge with his speed. Like you can see his 10-yard split. It's good. I think that's a better 10-yard split than Will Anderson had. 4.640, that's plenty good for an edge player. But he's also got a good amount of power. He can bull rush. He can push players around a little bit in the trenches. So right away, I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's got some versatility to his game. He gives maximum effort at all times. There's no questioning his motor. His motor's always running. Got a very quick and deadly first step coming off of it, out of his stance. Really hard to keep up with him around the edge. And he can bull rush, like I said. He's got some pass rush moves in the bank that he can bring out already. Even a guy like Dallas Turner can't say that, right? Dallas Turner doesn't have a ton of moves. Chris Braswell has some stuff in his bag of tricks. And he's somebody who can set the edge and hold his gap against the run. He's not somebody who's going to get pushed out of the play against the run at all. I think he can hold up perfectly fine there. And again, that's something that I don't even think of all the guys at the top. So you got all that, and I think he's got the short area quickness to drop back into zone. So you put it all together, it's like this Chris Braswell guy, he can do a lot of different things. He's offering really good value in a lot of areas, and he might be a good fit for a 3-4 defense. The thing that holds Braswell back, and the reason why he's not a first-round guy, and the reason why Dallas Turner and Lot 2 and Verse, etc., are so much more desirable than him, is bend. Braswell does not have pass rusher bend. The elite pass rushers can bend around the corner. He can't do it. He just doesn't have it the way they do. He does have burst. He does have speed. He does have acceleration. He does have a quick first step, but the bend isn't there, so that lets the air out of the balloon. His lateral movement skills aren't really all that good, which is going to make it hard for him to play man coverage. So if you get him, you probably don't want him to be doing that. He doesn't possess ideal arm length. It's okay, but 33 and a quarter is pushing it. Only 1 year of production. Again, I'm not going to kill him for that because he's stuck behind such good players at Alabama, but it is what it is. And it's not like it was an amazing year. Dallas Turner only had 1 amazing year in college, but it was better than this. So, yeah, it's a little bit held back here. You can definitely see where the other shoe drops. He doesn't have the elite traits to be a premium prospect, but he's got the strength, he's got speed, he gives good effort, he's got moves. I'm intrigued here overall. I understand that he's never going to be Reggie White. He's never going to be the greatest pass rusher in the league. He's never going to be some ultra unstoppable Von Miller type edge. But I suspect that he's going to be good because he does bring so many things to the table. He can play every down. He's an every down player potentially. So high to mid second rounder. I like him a little bit more than a lot of the big boards. I can't quite go first, but I'll tell you, part of me was tempted just a little bit. I just don't want to fall too hard for a speed rusher who doesn't have that much bend. So I would go high to mid second. All right, so that's it for this video. We're going to do one more video later today with the edges. Going to look at a couple more round 2 guys, and then we're going to call it and move on to round 3 tomorrow. And then we'll start sifting through the lower levels of the edge rusher crop. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys later on. Go Hawks.